Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Dr. Iziana and my fellow friends. Today my group and I, which is group 2, is going to present the chapter 23.4, which is evolution of Pteridophytes, Megaphylls. So we proceed to the learning outcome of this subtopic. So we have 3 learning outcomes, which are: first, identify the 3 types of Pteridophytes. Second, compare and contrast Megaphylls and Megaphylls. And third, identify the component of the fern's life cycle. So today for my part, I want to discuss about the 3 types of Pteridophytes and compare and contrast Megaphylls and Megaphylls. So let's talk about it. So here we have Pteridophytes. Pteridophyte is classified into 2 classes, which is Megaphylls and Megaphylls. Then under the Megaphylls class, we have horsetail, wishbone and fern. So today we want to talk about the compare and contrast about the Megaphylls and Megaphylls. So we proceed to the next slide. Okay. The meaning of Pteridophytes, Megaphylls and Megaphylls. So as we can see before, the Pteridophytes have Megaphylls and Megaphylls. So we need to know about the meaning about the Megaphylls, Megaphylls and Pteridophytes. So first we have Pteridophytes, which is broad term used to describe a group of seedless vascular plants. The example of the Pteridophyte is wishbone, such as wishbone, fern and horsetail. So for the meaning of Megaphylls, broadleaf with several strands of vascular tissue, while Megaphylls have a single strand of vascular tissue. So the difference between the Megaphylls and Megaphylls is the broad vascular tissue, which means the Megaphylls have broad leaf of the strands of vascular tissue, while Megaphylls have a single strand of vascular tissue. So we proceed to the next slide. Okay. So here we have Megaphylls. Megaphylls allows plant to essentially collect solar energy. Why? Because it has the broad leaf of vascular tissue, so it can collect more solar energy efficiently. So compared to the Megaphyll, it has single strand of vascular tissue, while Megaphyll have branch vascular tissue, which is broad, while Megaphyll quite narrow. So this broad branch vascular tissue lead to the production of food, and possibility of producing more offspring plants without Megaphyll is more, because the plants without Megaphylls is not efficiently collect solar energy to produce food. So that's for the Megaphyll. So in conclusion, Megaphylls collect more solar energy efficiently and produce more organic food than Megaphyll, which means the Megaphyll is better than Megaphyll. So we proceed to the Megaphyll evolution process. So here, the first stage of the, or we call the first stage of the Megaphyll. So we have it here, branch stem system. So here is the first step of Megaphyll process. Next, when the next stage begin, as you can see here, one branch begin to dominate the stem system. You can see the branch start to build up. Okay. Then the next stage is the side branches flatten into a single plane, like this in the stage 2. the branch just scattered. Then the third step, the branch is flattened like this, the more or coefficient or the more neat the branch. So lastly, tissue fill in the space between the side branches. So before the tissue fill in the spaces, we can see the side branches is flattened and more neat to and it lead to the tissue fill the spaces efficiently. So that's all for megaphyll evolution process. Oh, forget to mention that tissue fill in the spaces between the side branches, which is the megaphyll leaf, contain spaces between the side branches. As we can see here, the branches is same as the stage 3, but it filled with the tissue. So when the spaces have space, the tissue will fill into the spaces to complete the megaphyll leaf. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Pteridophytes binti Muhammad Amin. I will present to you one of the megaphyll plant. I will present to you about horsetail. So, firstly, horsetail have one genus, which is Equisetum. The genus name is derived from the Latin equus meaning horse and seta meaning bristle, in reference to coarse black roots of Equisetum fluviatile which resemble of horse tail. Horsetail are unique survivors of very ancient group of vascular plants, the Phenophyta, which has a history reaching back to the Upper Devonian. So first of all, most of the horsetail inhabit in wet and marshy environment. As you can see in this picture, this is an example of wet and marshy environment. Next, Equisetum also have rhizome that produce tall aerial stems. So, the plants consist of upright aerial stems that arise from a very extensive underground rhizome system. Aerial stem is a root that develops from a location on a plant above the surface of the earth or water, as from stem. So, just like Equisetum, they have aerial roots that grow from their stems and absorb water directly from their environment. Just like I said just now, the environment for Equisetum or horsetail is wet and marshy environment. Next is Equisetum or horsetail contain whorls of slender and green branches, as you can see in this picture also. It have slender or tall and green branches. And lastly, horsetail also have leaves that are small and form whorls at their joints. So morphologically, the genus Equisetum is characterized by jointed aerial stems and jointed rhizome. The stems of horsetail are anatomically unique among plants, although they have an external appearance somewhat reminiscent of bamboo. So Equisetum species also have small microphyllous leaves that are arranged in true whorls, and the leaves of each whorl are fused together to form a cylindrical sheath around each node. Some, but not all species, form whorls of lateral branches at the nodes of the aerial stems. The aerial stems, but not the rhizomes of some species, die back seasonally, whereas other species are evergreen. Just like this picture, you can see that the leaves are swirls. So this is the structure of horsetail. As you can see, the leaf has whorls leaf. So this is a rhizome at the end of the root. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi, I'm Shazlana and I will explain about wheatfern. Okay, wheatfern is basically a seedless vascular plant. It has water and food conductive tissue, but lacks of leaves and root. In wheatfern, photosynthesis occurs in the aerial stem. Meanwhile, water and minerals absorptions occur in the horizontal underground root-like stem, rhizomes, which receive water and nutrients from fungi through a mycorrhizal associations. Okay, there are two phases in the life cycles of a wheatfern. First, the large asexual plants, which is called sporophytes, produce spores that develop into a very small colorless sexual plant, which is called gametophytes, which are similar to rhizomes. And lastly, eggs and sperms are produced in a special structures on their surface. That's all from me, and I will pass to Auni for the next slide.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Auni Najiha binti Anwar. My number matrix is AS11540. So right now, I'm going to present subtopic about fern. Ferns are a widespread group of plants. The number of known existing fern species is about 10,500, but estimates have ranged as high as 15,000. It is because new species are still being found. Ferns are well known for their attractiveness and are frequently used by florists in decorative bouquets and as ornamental plants in the home and garden. Ferns are most abundant in warm, moist, tropical regions and also temperature regions as far north as the Arctic Circle. Ferns can tolerate in every kind of temperatures. On the coldest end of the scale, hardy ferns can survive temperatures down to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Even humans can live in that temperature. Next, ferns can live in dry, rocky places, whereas others have adapted to aquatic life. Ferns range size from tiny aquatic species less than 1 centimeter in diameter to modern giant tropical tree ferns at 20 meters in height. In this subtopic, we're going to learn about fern life cycle. But before that, I'm going to show you guys the structure of fern. It is important for us to know the structure first before we learn the cycle. It is because we can know where the parts that will be involved in the cycle. So, parts of a fern, first and foremost, is frond, the whole fern leaf. It includes blade and stalk. Blade, the expanded leafy part of the frond. This part we call it as blade. Stalk, the stalk below the blade. The middle part of the fern we call it as stalk. Axis reaches the stalk within the blade. This part we call it as axis. Pinna, leaflet, a primary division of the blade. This part we call it as pinna. And leaflet, we're gonna hear these words again when I am explaining about the fern life cycle. So don't forget about it, okay? Pinule, subleaflet, a division of the pinna. This is pinule. Pinules can be divided into lobes. Next, rhizome. Rhizome is a part where it is producing roots and send up shoots progressively from the upper surface. Fiddlehead, crosier, and uncurly frond. Before it grows the mature frond, it start with fiddlehead. And lastly, roots. As we know, the function is to absorb water and minerals from the ground. This is an important part of the learning outcome, where we need to identify the components of fern life cycle. I prepared for you a video I made by myself entitled of this topic, fern life cycle. It's a pleasure for me if you could refer your own mother textbook on page 422 so you can be more understand about this topic. So let's enjoy it. Fern life cycle. Please refer your mother textbook at page 422. There are 7 components in fern that you need to remember. Number 1, the sporophyte. The sporophyte portion of the life cycle is dominant in ferns. Second, the sporangia. For your information, sporangia are structures that produce spores. The sporangia are located within sori on the underside of the leaflet and protected by the indusium. Based on this picture, the dots behind the fronds are actually the sporangia. Number 3, the spores. Within a sporangium, meiosis occurs and spores are produced. When a sporangium opens, the spores are released. At this point, the spores will develop into sperm and egg. Number 4, the gametophyte. Gametophyte is the sexual phase in the life cycle of fern. A spore germinates into a protellus which typically bears archegonia at the node and atheridia at the tip between the rhizoid. Mitosis occurs. The spores will be produced into an egg in archegonium, while sperm in antheridium. Do you know what those are? For your information, archegonium is a type of female reproductive organs that producing female gametes, while antheridium is a type of male reproductive organs that producing male gametes. Number 5, fertilization. It takes place when moisture is present. It is because the flagellated sperm must swim in a film of water from the antheridia to the egg within the archegonium. The released sperms swim from the antheridium to reach the eggs in the archegonium. Sperm will fertilize an egg and produce a zygote. Number 6, the zygote. The resulting sporophyte zygote begins its development inside an archegonium. It is because the fertilization process happened in archegonium. After that, first leaf will appear above the protellus and as the roots develop below it. As you can see, a young sporophyte becomes visible. Eventually, the gametophyte disappears and the new sporophyte is independent. Number 7, the fronds. The sporophyte develops a root-bearing rhizome from which the aerial fronds project. That's it. 7 components for fern life cycle. Don't forget. Thank you and good luck. So right now you have learned and identified the components of fern life cycle through the video. You need to remember there are 7 components in fern life cycle. First, the sporophyte. Second, the sporagia. You need to know the location. Where is the location of sporagia? Third, in sporadium, meiosis occurs and the spores will produce. And sporadium will release the spore, and then the gametophyte, the spores will germinate into a protellus at the gametophyte. At gametophyte, there are 2 locations. First, archegonium. Archegonium is where spores will produce into an egg. Second, at antheridium, which is at the tip between the rhizoid, spores will produce into sperm. And then, when moisture is present, sperm will swim to archegonium to fertilize the egg. When egg is fertilized by the sperm, zygote will produce. And then fertilization happened. And then the zygote will develop inside an archegonium. You need to remember that fertilization is happened in archegonium because sperm swim to the egg. And then young sporophyte will appear. The sporophyte becomes visible where the leaves start to grow and the roots start to grow. And then after that, fronds will start growing and then it will produce a mature fern. So that's it for fern life cycle. That's all from us, group number 2, under the chapter 23.4, Evolution of Pteridophytes, under the topic Megaphylls. Hopefully, all of you can gain new knowledge about this topic. Before I end our slide presentation, if you have any questions, please kindly ask us. It is a pleasure for us to answer it. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.